Final round of the Australasian Superskips brought to you once again, delayed and live this time, by Top Split TV. I'm your host, Alex McKellar, and joining me tonight will be young Mr. Tim Awema for his first stint in the booth. Tim, how are you going tonight?
Very good, Alex. Thanks for having me on board tonight. It's a bit of a difference to being in the racing in the car to actually get out of there and jump in the commentary box. I'm really looking forward to tonight.
Yeah, mate, should be a great race. Final round, of course. All the sheep stations on the line tonight to play for. The guys are out there in qualifying at the moment. It's group qualifying, so there's a few of the guys out on track setting times early on. Provisionally, Sam Catagazinos out on top with a 2:08.734. Luke Whitten, the series leader at the moment, of course, all but having it wrapped up with his competition in Ian Bevan not showing up tonight, unfortunately. Luke's pretty much got this one in the bag. He was sitting in second. He's now dropped down to fourth, but it's still early stages with just under 13 minutes remaining, Tim.
Yeah, it looks very interesting out there tonight. I honestly thought Luke Whitten was actually going to do really well. He's playing a bit of a lone soldier tonight out there in the group qualifying, but Matthew Hobbs has come up with the fastest time at the moment of 2:08.1. So we'll just see how it goes. As you said, there's about 12 minutes left in qualifying, so anything can happen at the moment.
Yeah, plenty left to play for out there tonight. Of course, final round of the season. A few of the guys will be looking to jump up the order and grab a few spots if they can. Speaking of which, while they're out there running around, I might just bring up the series standings for as they stand at the moment. As I said, just the one round to go. So if I hide that for a second, and I will bring up. Let me just find it here. The season standings. So as it stands at the moment, one round left to go. I've just included three drop rounds there for the viewers at home. Luke Whitten sitting on top, 2 wins there. He's sitting on adjusted points on 222 with just tonight's race remaining. Ian Bevan hasn't shown up, of course, tonight. I think he's off playing other things tonight. He's given up on the race potentially. Alex John sitting in third for Team Milo. Hawkon Grebstead for the competing Team Ovaltine sitting in P5. Myself in P4. Myself in P5. Although I haven't got, I'm not out there tonight to defend that position from a hard charging Russell Clark there in sixth. So some of the guys, well, plenty of the regulars here tonight battling out for those positions. Tim.
Yeah, look, as I said, getting close to the end of the season, I actually think this is going to be a very competitive night. I thought we might have had a little bit of a better turnout. There's 20 races in tonight's field at the moment. I don't think we'll get any more. But yeah, look, very competitive season. It'll be a good way to win tonight.
Yeah, certainly will. Of course, we're at Daytona International here. We're at the road circuit layout, of course. It's a special nighttime event, in case you hadn't noticed, folks. Your eyes aren't deceiving you. We're running the skippies not only on an oval, but on a night course. So plenty of interesting action ahead of us. Long straights out the back, or curve straights, you might say, because it's a converted oval. So plenty of drafting, plenty of opportunity for multi-car side-by-side racing. Something different for the guys, a unique challenge and a way to end the season there, Tim.
Yeah, look, I actually really like this track at the moment. I got out there, had a couple of laps earlier on, and it's a great little track, especially the back stretch and going into the bus stop area. Really interesting drive. I think that's going to be a really good drafting area. It should be a really good race tonight. We've got about 9 minutes left to go in the qualifying, and still the positions haven't changed much. Matthew Hobbs still out there qualifying quite fast at 2:08.1. Look, I think we'll get a bit of a shake-up. I think we'll get a bit of grouping soon and get back into the draft, and I think the positions will change a little bit before the qualifying's out.
Yeah, absolutely. Interesting. I've just hopped on board with Russell Clark. He's not hooked up with his teammate Alex John to go through the qualifying session, of course, although I can see him just in the background now if I hop on board with Alex. Looking to work together here is very important, and teammates for Team Milo, of course. They hunt as a bit of a pack, these two, and they look to take advantage of this open session, of course. Normally in official races, we'd expect people to be doing solo qualifying and no teamwork coming into play, but tonight they got the benefit of the draft and the guys around them, and using that to grab extra speed. Speaking of grabbing extra speed, we've just seen Sam Katagazinas and Håkon Grebstad here on screen now, working together in the fashion that we've just described. And Håkon's jumped up to the top position the provisional standings with a 208.031. And just as I say that, Tim Gorkrotcher returning to the top of the tables with a 207. First one to crack the 207s, Tim.
Yeah, look, that's an extremely fast time tonight, and it's very interesting that you talk about Håkon. I noticed that Dennis Fiedler's not in his fellow teammate of Ovaltine's not racing tonight, so that's a good little match up there with Håkon and Sam just trying to draft off each other to get some very competitive times.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, Hawkons is flying the Team Oval team flag solo tonight. Neither Dennis or the late to the party team member and Ian Bevan, none of them are here tonight. So he'll be flying the flag solo, as we said. Now, Tim Hendrickson out on track now. He's sitting currently provisionally in 8th. One of our international drivers just being headed off by Timo Vaskalampi, another one here tonight. A few of the guys hit Timo, great helmet. He looks happy to be here, of course, doesn't he, Tim?
Yeah, he does. Look, it's very interesting. I'm on board with Tim Hendrickson at the moment, just seeing how he's going to go for his qualifying. It looks like he's just getting into the swing of things now, and looks like he's going to pick up there with. I don't know. He's just let Håkon Grebstad and Sam Katagazinas go by. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where he's going to get the draft from to get a time in here today.
Yeah, potentially he could hop on the back of those two, although he looks to have really backed off in that, and it's left Sam and Håkon there to really work together, and they're doing a great job of it. Håkon currently sitting in second position with Sam all the way down in 6th, but there's not a great deal between these front runners here. The top 6 are separated by less than a second, and because this is an unfamiliar track, many of the guys won't have turned a lot of laps here, but that can lead to a more broad spread of times than we would normally expect to see at a track that the guys are really familiar with. Great to see Kevin Henderson out there tonight again. He's struggling a bit. I don't know how much time he's spent on the track, but he's all the way down in P15, Tim.
Yeah, look, I would have expected him to be a little bit higher for this race. Look, I'm looking at the standings now. There's a few little surprises in there when we talk about the drivers that are generally competing to be up near the top. Ashley Works doing quite well at the moment in P10 with the 209.214, and Rick Davis as well coming in at 12th position. And the rest of I'm hoping to see that. Roman Katka, he's in 20th, and I'm just not seeing if he's on the track at the moment.
No, he's not turning laps at the moment by the looks. I've just up on board with Rick Davis. He was in the middle of a busy pack there, all looking to maximise their use of the draft and increase their opportunity of finishing further up the order. But Rick's only currently set a 209.418, sitting back in P12. He'll be looking to advance, of course. Interestingly, that pairing of Håkon Grebstad and Sam Katagazinas continue to work together, although Sam's really not maximising his use of the draft there with sitting in P7 while Håkon's all the way up in P2. Great to see Simon Chambers out on track, sporting the top split livery, of course. He's the series organiser, and I'm sure we'll get a chance to speak to him after the race. He's also streaming tonight's race. If you head over to Superskips Racing on Twitch, you can get a driver's side view of his action out on track tonight. Like I said, hopefully we'll get a chance to talk to him. I'm sure he'd be very pleased with how Season 2 of the Australasian Superskips has shaped up, Tim.
Yeah, I think he'd be really happy with it. I think we've had an extremely good turnout in every race that we've had. As we said, being week 13, and probably a few of the guys have decided to put the helmet on the shelf for week 13. But look, it has been a great turnout, and I'm happy to drive in this series. It's actually a really good group of fellow drivers that love to go out and have a great race. Nice, clean racing. It's been really, really good.
Yeah, it's a fantastic series to be a part of. It's, again, run by Simon Chambers, of course. Centrally, or sort of focused on the Australian New Zealand Club, although we do get a fair share of international drivers. There's a few out here tonight, of course. Fantastic bunch of guys, regular Skippy races, of course. It's a fantastic community to be a part of. And as a league, if you look up Australasian Superskips, head on over and apply to that league. You'll get an opportunity to race with these guys in season 3, no doubt, Tim.
Yeah, look, I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, anyone out there that actually meets the criteria to be able to join in and definitely join up. It's a great community and it's great racing. And now we've just hit the 3-minute 30 mark to go in the qualifying. The standings are with Alex John, great improver, moved up to P2.
Alex John working really well with his teammate Russell Clark. Obviously, he's pipped Håkon Grebstad there, just by the smallest of margins by the looks. He's just, what is that? Just about a tenth. So a tenth is really easy to make up here if you get the right draft and you know how to use it very well on these long sweeping bends of the oval section of the track. So yeah, great to see the guys out there having a good performance, and the Milo guys really putting it to Team Ovaltine at this stage.
Oh, definitely they are. It would have been good to see the full complement of Ovaltine out there tonight to round out the season. But look, with the Milo guys, look, they're putting up a great race. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're leading the points as a team at the moment, Alex.
Yeah, I believe they are. Team Milo out on top, just pipping Ovaltine at this stage. Great team names, of course, and a great rivalry building there between the two flavoured milks, as it were, as we see. Who's that? That's Russell Clark now looking to work with his teammate again, although it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, who's that pulling up in between them? Brian Mongo really trying to spoil the Milo party there, just trying to make the most of his run, of course, but he's all the way down in P19, so hanging on to these quicker guys is not a bad strategy to see if you can't get yourself further up the order. Oh, it gets very loose into turn 1, Tim.
Yeah, he did there. Look, I thought he would have had. Oh, we've just had someone go on the wall back there. But yeah, look, I thought Brian was trying to hang on there as much as he could to set a very fast time. Interesting to see when he comes back around. Look, he had the draft going over the line. He's lost it now, but we'll see if he can get a better time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was Matthew Hobbs, currently sitting in, where's he, in P4, who went for a bit of a spin there. Quite a number of the guys sitting in the pits with just a minute and a half remaining. Luke Witten's still out there, season leader at present, and probably likely to take this season out, actually, seeing as his main competition isn't here. Just a minute and a quarter to go now. Luke's sitting in P5. With the draft around here, I'm sure he won't mind that. There's plenty of opportunity to move up the field in what will be a longer than usual race, folks. They've got extra laps here tonight and a compulsory pit stop just to add to the flavour of it.
Yeah, and look, the compulsory pit stop makes for great racing. It's easy to do some laps, but to be able to time that in with the right time to go into pits, can you come out and be in front of the other team or other drivers? Look, it'll make for a great race. And I noticed we have one driver that's joined, Nathan Kong, who I believe has to start from the pits tonight.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Nathan does have to start from the pit. Yet he's a late starter here as well. He looks to have joined late, perhaps knowing that he doesn't really get the advantage of his qualification, so he has to start from the pits from serving earlier penalties, of course, or serving a penalty from earlier races. But he perhaps saw that as an opportunity just to turn a late couple of laps, as the session really didn't mean much to him, Tim.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, we've just gone zero on the qualifying clock. There's about 3 minutes remaining just to allow the last drivers to come across the line, and anyone else that would just happen to cross the start-finish time at that zero mark. So this is the last chance for anyone to get a quick time down before we start gridding up.
Yeah, that's right, Tim. So the checkered flag will come out. They do get their last lap so long as they cross the line before the checkered flag came out. So Nathan Kong, having set no time, will be... Oh, he's potentially just 1x'd his lap. Like Mr. Hendrickson, who's reported in the chat that he had a 2:07.8 on the boil before he 1x'd it, which means he got an incident point and the time doesn't count. Callum Dwyer jumped up to P17 after completing his final tilt and just pulling over to the side now. Good to see him jump up a position or two with his final lap. Just sitting on board with Nathan Kong, who, although he has to start from the pits, looks to be about, yeah, he's the last one out on track, with the exception of Luke Whitten, who I don't know if Luke can improve his time or not. He might be able to, but he's up to P3 at least anyway, so a good start for Luke, Tim.
Yeah, that's a fantastic start. As I said, it looked like he was a bit of a lone soldier out there in his qualifying and not really having a teammate. Like Ashley, his teammate, didn't do much drafting with Luke throughout this session. But it'll be interesting to see. He's coming down. He's just about to cross the start-finish line. We should be able to see if he got a better time.
Yeah, no, it looks like Luke just pulled into the pits, didn't he? Yeah, look, he's gone off track, I think. No, he's just practicing his pit stop. Very wise to do. It's not something that we do very often in the official racing, of course. Nathan Kong just coming around to see if he can set a time. He's only got a minute left, so he'll be cutting it pretty fine. But like we said, he's got to start from the pits anyway. So more of a confidence building exercise, I suggest, at this stage.
Oh, exactly. Look, if you can get in as many laps in as you can, even though you are starting from the pits, just get a few laps in, see what the conditions are like tonight. Especially with what are we, mostly cloudy, 19 degrees today, and a track temp of 20 degrees. So it'll be quite good to drive, good conditions, but obviously you need to get out there and get some race practice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that brings to a close our qualifying session. So why don't we just have a look at how they'll line up tonight for round 12 of the Australasian Superskips, of course, coming to us from live tonight from Daytona International Speedway, the road circuit. Sitting on pole tonight, Tim Gorkrocher with a 207.753, closely followed by Team Milo's first representative in Alex John. Luke Whitten, the series leader, sitting in third. Håkon Grebstab, first of our international drivers, in P4, racing for Team Ovaltine. Matthew Hobbs in P5. Timu Vaskalampi in P6. Coming up into P7, if my button will work. There we go. Sam Katagazinos in P7. Tim Hendrickson, P8. Russell Clark, second of the Team Milo drivers, in position number 9. Rick Davis in 10th. Good result for Rick there. Ashley Work in P11, Matthew Hill in position number 12, Simon Chambers, series organiser, in P13. That's a good result for Simon. Peter Goodwin in P14, Mark Jeffrey, another good result for him, in P15. Kevin Henderson, surprisingly, probably a bit short on practice, down in P16. Callum Dwyer in P17, getting bumped a couple right at the end there. Anthony Moore in P18, and Brian Monga in P19. Not setting a time tonight was Roman Katka and Nathan Kong, who we would suggest would be starting from the pits, Tim.
Yeah, and look, and looks like a good qualifying, and the grid up now. It's going to be a great start leading into the turn one, so we must be very close to a start. We're about a minute off. We're just waiting for everyone to grid up.
Yeah, the guys are taking their positions on the grid now. I would expect that they'd be getting pretty excited, probably getting their pit strategy sorted in their minds at least, and getting set for when they do make that pit stop. I'm just trying to remember how many laps we got tonight. Let me just see. We've got 20 laps tonight here, folks. Compulsory pit stop, of course. The fuel is restricted, so to make the pit stop not only mandatory but necessary. A lot of the guys can win or lose it in the pits, Tim.
Yeah, exactly. I've found there it all depends on that pit entry and that quick pit stop, and then remembering to make sure to clear, not to take tyres, because in these cars you wouldn't need the tyres, and you only just want to take on fuel. So it is a make or break in those pit stops.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to get a good entry, good exit. Make sure you're not taking too much fuel. Make sure you don't speed, because all that good work can be undone very quickly as we look to be under starter's order at the moment. Just a couple of seconds to go. I'm just trying to find a good camera angle here. The guys are heavy on the throttle, and we're away for the final round here at Daytona International, the Australasian Superskips, season number 2. The field really spread out now as they head into turn 1. Can they all survive, Tim?
Yeah, hopefully they can survive. I'm just on looking more up towards the first 3, and they've got through quite well, with Luke Whitten's just past Alex John going into turn 1. Hopefully the rest of the field got through quite all right.
Yeah, great start from Luke Whitten there, making his move through turn one. They're going 2 by 2 further back in the field by the looks. Guys getting themselves sorted out. Already a few guys up a couple of positions, as you would expect, depending on how they navigated the confidence they had in navigating the first couple of corners. But everyone seems to have got through really cleanly. I guess part of it's due to the nature of the track and being so wide, and perhaps a bit more tentative than usual, Tim.
Yeah, probably would be. I think leading into these sort of races and with the fellowship that they have in the this series, they tend to be quite careful going into turn one, make sure they get through, everyone gets a clean race. There were a few changes. Tim Hendrickson's moved up a couple of positions. He's now up into sixth. The only one to lose a position was Alex John from second down to third.
Yeah, that's certainly in the top five there. Tim Hendrickson, as you say, is up a couple into P6 from where he qualified. Now the real work starts, of course, as he tries to latch onto someone and keep onto this front pack. He's about 4 tenths behind Timu Vascalampi in P5, so well within the drafting range, and there's a bit of a pack forming up the front already, Tim.
Yeah, there is. This is looking interesting. We're just going through the bus stop now. I'm on board with Tim Hendrickson. And look, he had a great run out of the bus stop. That was a fantastic run going past Timu. So definitely, there's some make or break corners there, and obviously Tim had that one perfect.
Yeah, it looks like Timu's lining him up again. I've just hopped on board the gyro there, and he's gone side by side now with Tim Hendrickson there, and he looks to make his move. Sam Katagazinos around the outside, making it 3 wide into turn one, Tim. Can they work it out?
Well, this is very interesting. That was a great move by Sam. Turn one's going to be very interesting up ahead. Nice braking area. Sam goes quite wide into turn one. I think he might have overshot a little bit. Oh, very close there.
Yeah, he did, and all the while that was a great run by Sam. He took a full advantage, but he sort of cost himself a bit as they head now into turn three, the horseshoe bend here. As who's that looking up? Russell having a look up the inside of Timu behind them. Oh, it's all happening already. Luke Whitten now, he's up to P1. He's already got 7 tenths of a gap over 7 tenths of a second of a gap there over Matthew Hobbs, with Tim Gorcrotcher sitting in third. And here we go, Alex John, or getting overtaken by Tim by the looks. They were neck and neck as they headed into turn five. Reasonable passing opportunity there. Tim Gorcrotcher looking to make a 2-for-1 at the moment, Tim.
Yeah, look at this. I'm really surprised by the racing tonight. This has just been fantastic. I've slipped all the way right back to where Kevin Henderson is, and I'm actually looking at the train, and this is a great race tonight where everyone's just lining up in the draft position. It's going to be a fantastic race, especially out in this back stretch heading into the bus stop.
Yeah, look, it's quite a surprising position to find Kevin in. Kevin's a very competitive racer. He's normally right up the front end, but I can see, I've just hopped on board the gyro, I can see a long snake of cars up ahead of him. He's still well and truly in this. No one's had any major incidents. No one's sort of taken anyone out or lost it themselves. They sort themselves out going through the bus stop on lap 2. Oh, Kevin, he got checked up a little bit by Simon, but the cars in front of him are all still in the midst of their own battles, Tim.
Yeah, this is such an amazing race. I wouldn't have expected this on this course, but with this draft section out the back and also very tight lines, I'm all still on board with Kevin, and he's just taken 3 positions. He's on the outside line. Oh, we've had an accident up the front there. It looks like a Milo car.
Yeah, I can see Russell Clark dropping down the order there. I'll just hop on a replay, see if we can't find it. He looks to have had a bit of a coming together. Who's that with there? That's with, it's Timu. Tried a bit of bump drafting there. That's not going to end well for either of them. Timu's gone in for a roll, and Russell's ended up nose first into the sides on the inside of the track. I think they're pretty close to the pits there, so they can hopefully... Oh, and someone else lost it shortly after. I couldn't see who that was. Might have been Nathan Kong. No, it was... can't see who it was, to be honest, but that was a major incident early on in the race, Tim.
Oh, it definitely was. I was on board with Kevin there. It was interesting just looking ahead to see that accident. I think the one that you were talking about after that looks like Sam Katagazinos. He did the same thing to, must have been Alex John, because I can see Alex John has a little bit of rear damage at the moment. So that's going to affect his race tonight.
Yeah, he is carrying a bit of rear wing damage, and of course, in these cars, the rear end of the car is so fragile. The damage to his rear wing there could indicate suspension damage as well. The car looks to be tracking okay, so hopefully he's got away with that one. As we see Tim Gorkrocher make the move on the outside, maximising the draft and looking to overtake now as they head around the early parts of the oval there, heading towards the bus stop chicane. Alex John, the benefit that he's got here is there's a lot of influence of the draft around here, so he may be down a bit on top speed, but hanging on to the back of the likes of Tim Gorkrocher, he can probably hang on to his top 5 position until the round of pit stops, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. I think if he can stay in the draft, he'll be quite fine. If we look at some movers and shakers for the race at the moment, we're looking at Kevin Henderson. He's moved up to 7th. That's 9 positions that he's moved up, and we're currently on lap 3, and so that's quite a good move this early in the race.
Yeah, I'm on board with Kevin at the moment. He's, as you say, up 9 positions. We're used to seeing him more up the pointy end of the field, so he's made a very quick journey through, probably taking advantage. Or as we see Matthew Hill go around the inside there as they head over the line at the end of lap 3, the start of lap 4, heading into turn 1 now. Kevin didn't make that too hard for him. Although Kevin's coming back at him now, looking up the inside of turn 1. They're sitting about 2.5, a little over, up to 3 seconds now behind Matthew Hill in P7, and that'll be costing them a bit of time. But Kevin, who's that contact there between Kevin and Matthew Hill? I beg your pardon, was it? Kevin Henderson there. He looks to be able to carry on, but it looks like he just got a bit messy there. I'll see if I can go back and grab a replay.
Yeah, I did miss that one, so I might have to once you go back and have a look. Yeah, it looks like those two have contacted, and yeah, it's not going to end too well for them.
Nah, Matthew Hill just lost the rear end as they headed into the horseshoe, and the rear end spun around, and he ended up collecting Kevin prior to then grabbing a tow to the pits. Hopping on board with Kevin now back to live pitches in the midst of the action now up to P8. Just tucked in behind Sam Catagazinos. I don't know if you've noticed, Tim, but these guys tend to have a friendly battle quite frequently.
Yeah, well, I don't know how Kevin's going to go. He's actually lost his front wing, so this will make for a very interesting race tonight for Kevin.
Yeah, look, it doesn't seem to be affecting his top speed too much in the draft. It'll certainly give him a little bit of understeer into some of the corners, though perhaps not as important at this track as some others. Very wide sweeping turns for the most part. Turns in now into the bus stop. Simon Chambers having a fantastic race. This will be his best performance of the season if he can hang on to it in P9. Grabbing some great points for the Top Split podcast team, of course. I'll be cheering him on unobjectively, of course. Now, Sam Catagazinos retaking that position from Kevin. It'll be interesting to see what goes on there with Kevin. Now, again, you can just see the impact of the draft here. We'll hop on board the gyro of Simon Chambers watching closely behind. Look at that top split livery, Tim. It looks fantastic.
Yes, look, it does look fantastic. It's good to see that there's a few teams out there and they've all got their liveries all done up, and the top split's one of them. That's a fantastic display.
It's great. Kevin just ducking in behind after that little session on the back straight, and you can see just what an impact the draft has around here in these small cars. We know that these cars draft really well, but look at that understeer on Kevin as he heads through the horseshoe. That missing that front spoiler seems to be making more of an impact than I thought, Tim.
Yeah, look, this, as I said, look, you can't really race these cars without your little front wing, and it will make a big difference to him. Hopefully, when he goes into the pit stop, use the fast repair that he's got, as well as take on the fuel, and then come out and be very competitive.
Yeah, absolutely. Just hopping on board up the front, there's a four-way battle going on here with Tim Gorkrocher on the back, Matthew Hobbs in third, Tim Hendrickson sitting in P2, right on the tail of Luke Whitten in P1. And again, Tim looking to go outside of Luke here as they head around the early parts of this oval section of the track. Luke Whitten now sitting inside as they head towards the bus stop. He doesn't look like he's going to give it up too easy on the entrance to the bus stop, Tim.
No, it doesn't. Luke's a very competitive racer, and he's just sat back there. Oh, they go there through there very fast, and the back gets a little bit wobbly, but they all hold it. So it's fantastic racing.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Luke Witten now just sort of timing his run, sitting behind there, getting up to around the 200k an hour mark now. And look at that full use of the draft now. He wants to time this run as he goes past Tim Hendrickson there for the lead. And I'm not sure if he's going to make this work. Stays out quite wide. They're going to make it 3 wide here by the looks. Who's that coming up through the middle there? Matthew Hobbs. Looks like, oh no, it's Tim Gorkrocher. Looks like he's made his way through into P2. Luke navigating that really well. The 4 of them now go to, oh, that's a blown motor.
It is. Luke's just blown the motor going into that turn.
Yeah, he has. Let's grab that on replay, see what that was like on board. Bang. There she goes, folks. Luke Witten probably locked up the series for this season, but certainly chasing a win tonight, and he'll have to. Yeah, he's grabbing the quick toe there, looking to get a repair, and hopefully continue on to what he can make of this result here, Tim.
Yeah, it's quite interesting with Luke. I noticed when he was in his practice session, and I'm pretty sure it was on the same corner, blew a motor in the practice session. So that might have been playing on his mind a little bit. Obviously, just going down a bit too quick in the downshift, or being in the toe for too long, and actually heating up, and then that has eventually got him.
Yeah, it tends to be, as you say, a bit of combination there. Partly the draft, partly a downshift too quick, and that'll let the engine go. But surprising it happened so soon, to be honest. We're only now on lap 6, so that's a real surprise, and it's something that Luke might have to look at for future races if we happen to come back here.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's the last thing you want, and especially with the toe. You're probably looking in. I think they were going into turn 1, so he was effectively about a 2.5 minute toe. So that's quite a lot of time to lose, especially in this race.
Yeah, well, it's certainly going to cost him any chance of having a win, of course, and it leaves Tim Hendrickson now up in front. Just half a second gap over Tim Gorkrocher just sitting in behind him. We've then got Matthew Hobbs sitting in 3rd position now as they come around the back straight now. They're looking to come across the start-finish line at the end of lap 6. 14 laps remaining. Pit stops, Tim, what do you reckon? Are they going to go early or late tonight?
Well, very hard to tell on this track. The way that they're going with the draft at the moment, and you look your top 5 guys, right back to Rick Davis. I think you'll find they'll stay out a lot longer. While they've got that competitive draft, they're putting a gap on the rest of the field. So I'd say they'd stay out.
Yeah, they're also conserving a little bit of fuel, of course. This front pack here went 3 wide, which seems to be a bit of the norm around here, into turn 1, but they managed to get it sorted quite well. Once again, your leader, Tim Gorkrocher, followed by Tim Hendrickson, Matthew Hobbs sitting in 3rd. They're all separated by about less than a second here, about 3/4 of a second by the time you count them all up, as they head down into the horseshoe on lap 7, Tim.
Yeah, look, as I said, this has been a very good race, and with the top 3 very competitive there, and even a little battle that's just going on behind them between is Alex John and Rick Davis. Even though Alex John's got the rear damage, they're holding on quite well. They're a little bit behind the top 3, but this is a little competitive race between those two.
Yeah, great to see Rick Davis up sitting in P5 at the moment, making the most of every opportunity tonight. Alex John, as we saw earlier, he copped a bit of rear wing damage and might be a bit down on pace as Rick Davis now moves to the outside, taking advantage of the draft. They're heading around into the bus stop chicane. Look, as soon as he moved out, he didn't really maintain as much speed as you might expect, but he does seem to be able to hang on to that position. Alex John now tucking in behind him to make sure that they both get through the bus stop chicane cleanly. It'll be interesting to see how well Alex can hang on to that draft given that damage he's carrying, Tim.
Yeah, look, I've been watching them for a few laps now, and it looks like they like to change positions. They're playing the draft quite well. So on this on the back stretch here, you'll find that Alex John should be able to get the draft, go past, and they're really driving well together. It's a good way to do this track, and especially if you're trying to gain on the top 3.
Yeah, a sensible way to do it is to see Alex John pull out to the outside now as they approach the final bend and look to complete look to complete lap 8. Side by side they go through turn one. Alex John really not pushing too hard to get past, although he makes a nice wide entry there. And look, Rick Davis looks to capitalise on what was 2 by 2 there, forcing Alex out to the outside. Of course, it is still a race. They might be working together, but Rick doesn't have to make it easy for Alex. It can force a mistake at any time, of course, Tim.
Yeah, true. I mean, obviously you are trying to compete for points tonight. So as much as you want to work with the other person in front of you, you do want to beat them at the end of the night. Leading back up to the top three, and now going back on board with Tim Grawcrocher. He had a bit of a mishap going into one of the corners, and it's just dropped off a couple of tenths off the top two.
Yeah, he was nearly a second off the back there for a little bit of time. But it looks, Tim Henriksen letting the rear step out as they head out onto the oval section once again. Yeah, he looked to almost lose them, in fact, but he had a good run through the infield and he's managed to get back on, leaving it as a battle of three. These guys look to be pretty tough to separate. They're going to make each other work really hard at. It's not really a hard working track in so much as you're not spending a lot of time manhandling the car around the track, so to speak, but certainly works your brain out with the strategy. So what's your strategy to like at a track like this, Tim?
Look, my strategy is just to sit back and wait. I'd really like to look, as much as you want to be competitive and you want to be leading a race or be up in the top positions. I really like to sit back and behind and just to see how the race unfolds. And I'm noticing that with Tim Gawcrocher tonight. On that back straight, even under the draft, he was just easing off the accelerator a bit, sitting in third position comfortably, letting one at the first and second position really play the race here. And he's sitting in a very comfortable position.
Yeah, absolutely. He's letting the front two make the running of it and make make each other think a bit more. And I'm like you, mate. I like to sit in behind, let the action play out in front, see what I can make of capitalising of people's mistakes, force a few mistakes if I can, and let the race come to me. It's something I learnt from Mick Gray, who's also another one not here tonight, which is surprising a little bit. And the race is not better for it, of course. Mick's a great racer, and sorry not to see him here tonight, but great to see this battle up front. Just jumping back to Alex John and Rick Davis again. Alex hanging on the back here, leading Team Molo entry, of course, after that incident earlier in the race for Russell Clark, sitting there in P5. Simon Chambers again doing really, really well here, sitting in P7, tucked in behind Sam Katagizinos, really trying to stretch the legs of that top split podcast car there, hanging on to the back of Sam, who's got a lot of pace around here actually. I've raced here with Sam a couple of times in previous trial events, and he's got a remarkable amount of pace, I should say. Partly, I'm sure, because of his oval experience. He's raced a lot of ovals, I think, and that's probably not something that comes as a surprise to anyone, because given his background. But yeah, great to see him taking advantage of it here tonight, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. Sam's a very competitive racer, and he's just sitting there perfectly in position 6 at the moment, running a really good race. And Simon, definitely, this is going to be a great little battle here. I think they'll work together, especially to gain up on Alex John and Rick Davis. The key is just to work together, draft each other, move up the positions, and effectively get some more points for the night.
Yeah, that's right, of course. Just hopping on board with Kevin Henderson, who was a big part of that pack for a while. Looks like Kevin's had his pit stop. He's got that nose cone repair. The crew have got him out there back on track. Down all the way down in P15, but he's currently, of the people that have pitted, he is the third car. So, team of Escalampy, of course, who had that incident. Nathan Kong, who started from the pits. They're the only two in front of him on track. Track position important, of course, but I'm not sure if Kevin had an incident in addition to being caught up in someone else's moment earlier and causing him that damage. He might just have got frustrated with a bit of understeer in the car and wanted to grab that fast repair, Tim.
Yeah, maybe. It's very interesting. I would have expected. What have we got with Kevin here? The 43 seconds in the lane looks like. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how this plays out. And we're seeing the guys at the back are all pitted. And oh no, I've just seen Kevin go into the pits again. Have I got that right?
Yeah, he has, mate. He just had a moment. I'm just on board on replay at the moment. Heading into the bus stop chicane, into the left-hander. The rear steps out. He tries to gather it up, straightens the car up momentarily before running into the wall on the outside of the track and then hopping into the pits. The guy's, of course, only getting one fast repair here tonight, and he's actually retired from the race, leaving the service. So that's a shame for Kevin, but perhaps a little bit underdone with practice here tonight, and that's caused him to have a couple of incidents. One of, not of his own making, I should say, but the second one certainly brought him unstuck, Tim.
Yeah, look, and that's the thing. And as we said about this at the start of the night, it depends on how much the guys have come out to actually have a practice, especially in week 13. It's generally you're out there to have a bit of fun in some of the unofficial races, or whether it be you still want to compete officially in week 13. So some guys haven't been out practicing. I just don't know how much Kevin's been out, actually been on the track and put some laps down. So it's a bit unfortunate. Normally he'd probably be up here in the commentating box. I'm wondering if he should have been up here tonight. He might have had a bit more fortune than being out on the track.
Yeah, perhaps he did contact me earlier. I thought we'd communicated with him that he wasn't required and could have a bit of fun on track. Could have been perhaps why he didn't have as much practice as he would normally have done. It could also be the track. This is not obviously one that we race in the Skippies very often, so could be a bit of that as well. But I'm just on board Tim Gorkrocher there as he's sitting in P3. Look, I don't know if he's struggling or he's just playing a strategy game. He seems to be really good through the infield section of the track, but I don't know whether it's his run onto the straight or whether he's just holding back a bit. As I said, he seems to get dropped a bit on the oval section of the track. It might just be that challenging bus stop chicane, Tim.
Yeah, it might be. Look, obviously, each driver that goes around has the good points of this of their track and their driving skills, and some will work that to their advantage. The infield seems to work quite well for him, and obviously he's hanging on to the guys as they go around. I still think there's something up his sleeve there. I do think he's just hanging on the back here, just to see what happens at the front too, and then obviously pounce on any sort of mistake.
Yeah, well, he's a really quick racer. He's been climbing through the ranks in the official season, of course, doing a fantastic job. A lot of pace. Again, like many here, I'm sure not had much time around the track, so or on this track, I should say. So still maybe even learning his lines and how best to take it. But because the ovals are not something we're familiar with in the Skippies, Tim.
No, not at all. It's something that I obviously haven't raced a lot on the ovals. This is a bit different for us, especially to get out here. Look, the infield does have a very it's something that the guys would be used to racing normally, and those tight lines and the tight corners. But the oval side of with the camber and everything like that, the guys wouldn't be so used to that, especially trying to work out where to draft, where to go high or low on the track. So it makes for some interesting driving.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a nice change up. Great idea from the series organiser Simon Chambers, just to chuck something in a little bit different. The night race, of course, also making the cars look spectacular. As I hop on board the gyro again, you can just see the reflections of the lights, and or perhaps I won't hop on Tim. I keep forgetting. I got caught out again. Anyway, the cars looking really great. The lights shining off the helmet and the polish on the cars themselves. Oh, there we go. Matthew Hobbs running a bit wide, leaving the door open for Hendrickson there to come out of the horseshoe. Try and get the drive up. You can top out, maybe just grab fifth here if you're lucky at the end of this straight as you head into turn 5. There is a passing opportunity there if you want to take it, but at this stage of the race, they're a little bit over halfway. They're on lap 12. Again, Hendrickson looking up the inside, just about to make a mockery of the words I was saying. You wouldn't want to look there too often because there's plenty of opportunity on the back section, Tim.
Yeah, there is plenty of opportunity, and I think, as you said, if you get into that draft and you play it right, you can actually benefit really, really well from this track. It's quite an interesting drive, and I think we've just had a position change there where Tim's gone into first position.
Yeah, he's just gone up the inside there, on the back straight there, rather than take the risks in the infield section there. You're better off just waiting for the draft. It'll be interesting to see what they do in the last couple of laps, how they position themselves and what they want to do here. Whether Tim Gorkrotch has been playing possum the whole time and just sitting here saving fuel to minimise his pit stop time. But yeah, it should be very, very interesting to see. Alex J. John, I've just hopped on board with. Great to see him back on track after moving house and setting up his new rig. And he's flying solo out here on track at the moment after having made a pit stop. He's the leading driver now who's made pit stops. Simon Chambers in P7 is behind him, having made a pit stop as well. A very quick one too, at just 11.9 seconds stationary, although that does seem a bit long almost. Timo Vascalampi, he was stationary because, that's right, he had the incident earlier on. So Alex John in P6 and Simon Chambers in P7 are the two that are leading that have made their pit stops. It'll be interesting to see if that early stop will play into their favour, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. This is quite a long race tonight. We're just on lap 13 now, so I suspect that the top three runners, I'd have to say, would be going in the next 3 laps, 3-4 laps, definitely to make this their pit stops. But obviously, while they're in the draft and they're making some headway on the rest of the field, you may as well stay out there as long as you can.
Yeah, 100%. You may as well make the hay while the sun shines. As I say, Tim Hendrickson once again looking up just to poke his nose there, show he's interested at turn 5, but then pulls back into line. Tim Gorkrotcher looking menacingly behind, looking menacing on these guys behind in their mirrors, I have no doubt. I might just hop on board the nose cam with Tim Hendrickson there if I can find it. There we go. See what it's like. Oh no, he's hopped on the inside there. I've called it out too soon. I thought he was going to use the draft early, but he just got a great run out onto the back section there, Tim, and not looking to use the draft there so much as just use the drive that he got out of the corner.
No, exactly right. And this is going to play a bit into Tim Gorkrotch's benefit here, because now he's jumped on the back of the draft, but well, he seems to move out of the draft. So I don't know what sort of race he's running tonight. He's not trying to overtake the front two drivers. This makes for a very interesting race. I'm thinking he's either looking to see when they want to pit, looking to see if there's going to be any accidents up front. But no, this is going to be a definitely interesting race all the way to the end. I do see them all trying to pit at the same time, though. I think this is going to be, once they see one go in, the rest will go in.
Yeah, well, these three you won't want to break up the party they're having on for sure. I mean, if you go in with someone, oh look, am I calling it early? No, he's not going in. Yes, he is.
Yes, he is.
Tim Hendrickson making the run now, getting into the pits. Let me just hop on board the gyro there, see what sort of pit stop he made. I thought he might have balked that, see what the others will do, but he's made the first move. It'll be interesting to see what his pit stop's like, whether he gets an advantage here or whether he costs himself with the other two sticking together in draft. I noticed Tim took a fast repair there, his front wing repairing. 9.9 second stop. Russell Clark's the only one who's had a quicker stop. So, I beg your pardon. No, Kevin, who's already left, of course. No, so 9.9 second. That's a pretty good pit stop there. Only one better, as we said, in Russell Clark. So Russell's pretty good at his pit stops when he doesn't speed in the pits. So that's a great result from there. It'll be interesting to see where he pulls out in relation to the other two who we hop on board. They're just coming through turn 5, looking to go out onto the final corner before the oval section. Tim, be interesting to see what these guys decide to do now.
Yeah, this is a very interesting race. They're also going to be coming up to some back markers as well. So I'm wondering if Tim Hendrickson pulled the right time to go into the pits. This is going to be a really interesting time now. But these two, the best thing they can do now is just draft off each other, try and get a bigger gap. So when they come in for their pits, they'll come out ahead.
Yeah, that's right. That's what the game they'll be trying to play, of course. Now, if I look at Tim Hendrickson, of course, he's the leading driver that's pitted. He's only back to P5, so the longest stint really working in his favour as the field spread out after the early laps. Riding on board with Tim Gorkrotcher at the moment as they come around the closing stages of the lap. Interesting to see what these two are going to do, whether or not they stay out for another lap. They're on lap 14, so just the 6 laps remaining after this. You see Tim actually lifting there. What's he going to do? So Matthew Hobbs, is he faking or is he going in? No, they're both going in, Tim. They'll be oh, gee, Tim Gorkotcher, did he pull it up side by side as they go into the pits? Tim, what do you make of that?
That's something I would do when I'm out there racing. I try to go as very hard to those yellow cones as I can and quickly brake to try and get that competitive edge. Looks like this is going to be very interesting. Who can get the lead out? I was a bit surprised with Tim Gorkotcher. He's missed his stop.
Oh, he overshot
Yes, he
there.
overshot.
Oh, he overshot.
So that's going to cost him dearly,
Yeah.
especially yeah.
Sorry,
Not
he's
at all.
just and I've just seen as he comes out, you can see off in the distance there, Tim Hendrickson. Now, can Matthew Hobbs hang on to this toe? Tim Hendrickson looks to have played the master stroke there. We saw Tim Gorkotcher was really quick there. It was into the pits. Matthew Hobbs slow into the pits. Probably cost him a bit of time. He's now 1.8 seconds behind Tim Hendrickson, who looks to have played a master stroke, Tim.
Oh, definitely. I think he played it quite well. What I found quite interesting was in those last couple of laps, without going in, Tim Gorkotcher didn't want to overtake, was lifting a little bit in the draft, so it was making Matthew Hobbs drive for it, and I think that sort of would have lost him a little bit of time instead of leapfrogging each other to try and get a bit of a gap. So it looks like it has cost them now.
Yeah, absolutely has. Interesting. Maybe it was a combination of the bungle pit stop by Tim Gorkotcher. Unfortunately, his pit time was 34.9 seconds overall in the lane, which was 6 seconds or thereabouts slower than Matthew Hobbs, and that's now the distance he finds himself behind Matthew Hobbs, and of course. I've got to tell you though, Matthew Hobbs' time in the lane was actually better than Tim Hendrickson, but we saw how slow he was on entry compared to Tim Gorkotcher, and that seems to have been what's cost him in the end.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's what we have to realise when we're going for the pit stops. It's great to come down pit lane, but you've only got the speed limit on as soon as you hit the cones. So as fast as you can get to those cones, you definitely won't waste any time. And you are right, that time loss going a bit slow into the pit lane looks like it has cost him.
Yeah, it has, I think, and he's probably, barring incident, really out of a shot here at anything other than the P3 that he currently sits in. I'm sitting on board Simon Chambers. He's in a battle with Rick Davis here. If I hop on board the nose cam with Simon, just the 5 laps remaining as the lead across the line now. Simon and Rick now heading into the final corner. Be interesting to see what Simon does here. He's just happy to sit in the tow by the looks of Rick Davis as they cross the line. Now come across that famous finish line here at Daytona, heading into turn 1. Simon, patiently sitting there on the gearbox of Rick there, Tim.
Yeah, this is a great move by Simon. I think with what have we got? 4 laps now to go, just to sit back, watch, make Rick work for his position there, and also look in Rick's mind, he'll be just wondering when Simon's going to make that dive. Is he going to get him on the draft on the last stretch of the back straight there? So all the pressure's on Rick at the moment. Simon's doing a great race at the moment.
Yeah, I just stopped on board Ashley Work, who has just made his pit stop. Looked like he might have overshot his pit a little bit too, actually. He's now coming out just behind Luke Witten by the looks. Luke recovering, of course, from his earlier incident. He's now sitting in P8, so quite a good recovery drive there from Luke, it has to be said. Looks like all of the field now have made their compulsory pit stops, and your running order at this stage, let me just pull that up. Your top 21 at this stage, although I don't think Roman actually took the field, so took the course, I should say. Tim Hendrickson sitting in first place. Matthew Hobbs is currently sitting in P2. Tim Gorkotcher, after making a meal of his pit stop, sitting in P3. Alex John in P4. He's actually down a couple of spots after his great qualification. Sam Katagazinos doing a fantastic job, up 2 spots into P5. Rick Davis, another fantastic drive from Rick, sitting in P6 up 4 spots. Simon Chambers, this will be his drive of the season. He's currently sitting in P7 if he can hang on to it. Luke Whitten recovering at the moment up into P8. Ashley Work in P9 and Russell Clark rounding out your top 10, Tim.
Yeah, look, this has been a great race, and then we've got leading after that in the 11th we've got Mark Jeffrey, 12th we've got Timo Vascalampi, 13th Matthew Hill, 14th Nathan Kong, who has done surprisingly well from starting from the pits, Callum Dwyer 15th, and Anthony Moore 16th, and we've currently got, I believe, 3 DNFs in Peter Goodwin, Kevin Henderson, and Brian Monger.
Although, I'll tell you who else we lost, Håkon Grebstad. I don't know what happened to Håkon. I don't know. Do you remember seeing an incident? Or I don't recall, but maybe we'll touch base with Håkon after the race. I noticed I'm on board with Nathan Kong at the moment, who looks to have an extra bit of aircon installed in the car. He's missing a nose tonight. We missed an incident with Nathan at some stage, I'd suggest.
Yeah, I've just jumped on board as well, and that doesn't look too good. It's not going to be good racing when you're missing that much of the car. So that'll be very interesting to find out what happened to him there.
Yeah, that's right. I've just jumped up to Mark Jeffrey now, who's in the tow of Russell Clark here in P10 and 11 respectively. Great paint scheme there from Mark, of course, bringing a bit of colour to the broadcast. He's trying to hang on to Russell at the moment. He's just dropped out that magic 1 second margin there, so just probably losing out a bit on the draft stakes. But I tell you what, hopping back up on Tim Gorkrocher, I thought, no, I was mistaken. He's out to a 4.5 second gap in P3 from Matthew Hobbs in position number 2 at the moment, who himself is losing time at a rapid rate of knots to Tim Hendrickson. He's now 4.2 seconds behind our current leader, Tim Hendrickson. Is that what was that tight battle of 3 at the top is now spread out into 3 lonely soldiers doing their laps, as they've got just the 3 laps remaining now as Tim's approaching the line at the end of lap 17. Tim, now it's interesting to see just how much that pit stops came into play.
Yeah, definitely. When you, especially in the later game, I think Tim Hendrickson. I thought they would have all gone in when Hendrickson went in, but they seemed to hold off. And obviously he was lucky to come out of that. Looking back now at a little bit of a battle which is going on between Sam Katakazinos and Alex John. And they're fighting for position 4th and 5th. Alex is just in front of Sam, but Sam's just getting him on the back straights, and hopefully in the infield section can gain on a little bit and make for a very competitive finish.
Yeah, Sam sitting the 1.3 seconds behind Alex John in P4 and 5 respectively. Sam really trying to make every post a winner here. Top 5 finish for him would be great, up a couple of spots of course. He'll be looking to make every post a winner from there. Just had a bit of news on Håkon. He wasn't able to take the grid tonight. He had some unfortunate family news, so thoughts going out to Håkon. Hopefully everything will be alright and he'll be back on track soon.
Yeah, it's never good news when things like that happen. And look, yeah, all the best to Håkon, and yeah, hopefully we'll catch up soon with him. Now we're back on board with the top players, and I was just going to jump on with Simon Chambers and Rick Davis again. So we're getting into the closing stages of the race. Simon is sticking with Rick quite well here with only 2 laps to go. I think Simon is going to make this pushed into definitely into P6.
Yeah, potentially could. What's he now? Just half a second now behind as they're heading around the early stages of the oval section here through turn 7, heading towards the bus stop chicane. On what are we on, lap 18 now? Just the 2.5 laps remaining now. This is probably the toughest corner to get right here. You want to probably shift down to 4th, maybe drop down to 3rd now as we see. They exit that chicane as hard as they can. You really want to get the car gathered up and then get the foot planted to get the best drive out here. Simon losing a tenth or so there to Rick, but still well and truly in the hunt, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. Actually, just sorry to just shift the focus here, but Matthew Hobbs looks like he's in the pits.
Yeah, he is. He's pulling into the pits again. I wonder what's going on there. Perhaps maybe he's under fueled. He didn't look to get. Yeah, I think he just underfueled, Tim. No tyres or repairing going on there. Just looks like he might have underfueled.
Oh, not a great strategy. And look, he was a bit slow in, but yeah, not the best way to play this race. You need to overfuel. Like the Milo cars, they've worked that out that you definitely can't underfuel on these races.
No, that's right. But what it has done is it's brought him right out in the middle of that battle between Simon Chambers and Rick Davis. So the race might be a bit better for it there with these guys fighting out for P5 through 7. Each of them hoping that they can get a top 5 finish, Tim.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it'd be a great way to finish off the series with a P5 finish. Just sitting there with Simon Chambers still. He's playing a very great race here. He's actually just backing off the accelerator as we go into the bus stop, not trying to overtake Rick Davis. Definitely trying to line him up for the back stretch and are coming around turn 12 like the start finish line. So this is going to make for a great race. I don't know if they're gaining on who we've got up there. Sam Katakzinis is in front of them. Don't know if he's gaining on them, but definitely this battle between Simon and Rick is going to be great to the end.
Yeah, see Simon just lifting as they approach the bus stop chicane there. They're dropping Matthew Hobbs as it turns out. Perhaps Simon, because he's closer to Rick in front, was able to sort of maximise his use of the drafts. He's a bit slower than Rick on exit there. I don't know if that's a tactic there as they come up to a lap car now. They're of course 11 seconds behind. Here we go. Sorry, I'm missing the action here. Matthew Hobbs did very well there through the bus stop chicane. Actually jumped Simon Chambers now. Simon looking to get in his toe. Who's that they're playing with there? Who's that lap car? Who am I looking at? Anthony Moore doing his best to get out of the way, it has to be said. Simon now looking up the inside of these guys now, looking to, will he make it 3 wide? Looks like it. No, Matthew Hobbs. She's got a 2-for-1 sale through the oval section there. Rick Davis on the inside of Simon now hangs on to that position, forces him wide. So it's those two have unfortunately lost out in the space of a lap to Matthew Hobbs, who's done a great job on the backstretch. Simon locking up as they get into the horseshoe there, trying and successfully trying to keep out of the back of the Rick Davis, though. They're on the final lap, of course, here. That's why they're battling so hard. I'm just watching Tim Hendrickson now, our leader, come back onto the oval section for the final time. He's a mile out in front. He's stretched his legs all the way out to 9.5 seconds, Tim.
Yeah, look, he's had a great race, and he's going to be coming up to the bus stop for the last time, and it'll be just hold on to it. It'll be a great victory for him. It's very competitive though. Back in the Simon Chambers and Rick Davis, I think Simon should have just taken over a few laps ago instead of sticking back in the draft, because now I think with Matthew Hobbs, Rick Davis is just hanging off the draft of Matthew Hobbs now.
Yeah, he is, and that'll probably spread him out a bit out of reach for Simon potentially. But again, this will be his best finish of the season. Just hopping on board Tim Hendrickson now as he comes into the closing stages of the race at the final lap. He's just about to hit the line out, and I think take out his maiden victory in the Australasian Superskips. Left it late to the last round as the checkered flag comes out, but no, he's managed to hang on there for the win. In second place now, Tim Gorkrotcher coming over the line. As the fireworks go off in the background, I keep forgetting that's going to happen. Just behind them now, in what looks to be a pretty close battle, is Sam Katakzinis and Alex John. They're crossing the line now for P3. A great podium for Sam Katakzinis. He'll be thrilled with that, I'm sure. Rick Davis is... it's a 3-way battle still. We've left the guys there on their own. Simon Chambers up the inside as he crosses the line for a top 5 finish. That's fantastic racing there. Jeepers, I didn't know where to look there at the end, Tim.
Oh, that was fantastic. I thought Rick had it over Matthew Hobbs, and then Simon has come down low and he's just grabbed them at the end. That is a fantastic finish for Simon. Fifth, that you've got to be impressed with that. Up 8 position, he is our mover and shaker for the race.
Fantastic effort. That was a gruff. Glad we caught the final stages at least. Luke Witten now crossing the line. Oh, he's going to let Ashley hop in front of him by the looks. Yeah, he's let his. Oh no, they've just crossed the line. The two teammates there crossing the line together. Russell Clark down in P10. Mark Jeffrey now approaching. Is he going to? I think he's crossed the line now in P11. A few. Oh, who's that? Timu crossing the line in reverse by the looks. Timu. That's no. He's already across the line, so he's just putting on a show for the fans. Kenny J turn it into the pits. I think he might get an unsafe pit entry for that. What do you reckon, Tim?
Oh, I missed that one. I'm sorry. I didn't get to see that one. I was just seeing the stragglers that are still on the track still.
Yeah, no, you're
No.
right. I've got Nathan Kong coming up to finish in P13, which is not a bad effort considering he started in the pits, taking advantage, even though his feet will be very cold at this night race, taking advantage of some of the other incidents that have gone on. Matthew Hill now coming across the line in P15, and Callum Dwyer will cross. Oh, sounds like he's running out of fuel, young Callum. Can he get across the line? Yeah, I think he has. And Anthony Moore in P16, I think he might have crossed the line already. He was a lap down, I'm pretty sure. So looks just to be dawdling around at any stage. So while we wait for the guys to cross and struggle their way back to the pits, let's just take a look at your final results, folks. So where are we? There. Taking out the win tonight, largely based on the cleanest pit stop, it has to be said, was Tim Hendrickson. A quick pit stop with a lot of good driving after that to break out a 9 second gap from nothing from Tim Gorkrocher in P2. Sam Katakazinos, a really surprising podium there for Sam, as it turns out, in P3. Alex John, first of the Team Milo guys, in P4. Simon Chambers, what a result for the series organiser in Simon Chambers. I can imagine him grinning from ear to ear. Matthew Hobbs in P6. Rick Davis in P7. What a great battle to the line that was. Luke Whitten in P8. Ashley Work finishing in P9. Russell Clark in P10. Now, the question for me, folks, is whether or not Russell's grabbed enough points to jump me in the order. But that's a story for another time. In P11, Mark Jeffrey, great result for Mark there. Timo Vascalampi, all the way down in P12, belying his pace. Nathan Kong in P13, starting from the pits. That's a great result for Nathan. Matthew Hill in P14, Callum Dwyer in P15, Anthony Moore down one lap in P16, then followed by our retirements in Peter Goodwin, Kevin Henderson, Brian Monger, Roman Katko, I don't think actually took the grid tonight, and finally Håkon Grebstad, who unfortunately had to leave prior to taking the grid as well. Our thoughts once again heading out to Håkon. So Tim, what did you make of all that?
Look, it's a fantastic race, and it's a bit different being on the other side instead of being out there racing with the guys, to actually be up here with you in the commentary box. And I actually found it really enjoyable tonight. It's great to see the racing from a different perspective, and to be able to flick through the field and watch how they all race, and their different pit strategies. I know when we're out there on the racetrack, you're trying to work out your pit strategy. You're not worried about anyone else. But it's interesting to see a lot of the guys nowadays taking the longer strategy, just trying to stay out there as long as they can instead of taking the quick splash and dash out early to try and get clean air. It seems like the draft's working really well for these guys.
Yeah, look, it really was. I agree. The guys that stayed out the longest out in front, they had clean air. It's quite a big track, of course. Who's that doing some doughies out there? I'm going to see if I can find who that is. See if we can't grab a look at them while they're there. Who's that? That's our Ashley Work. He's finished his work for the night. Sorry for that pun, folks. Yeah, look, you're right. The pit strategy was played out really, really well. It's a big track, so the guys out in front weren't worried about lap traffic as they have been at some of the tighter circuits. So, yeah, they were free to stretch their legs, and stretch their legs they did. Sam Katagazinos, a great finish for Sam as he ran out of gas, is what he tells us in the chat there live tonight. Only just staying ahead of Alex John, a fast charging Alex John in P4. So, big shout out to Sam. Well done, mate. I think that's your first podium, so congratulations. Yeah, he certainly showed his skills out there tonight. But a great pit stop for Tim Hendrickson and a great result as well. So, yeah, look, it's been a fantastic race tonight and a fantastic season. And speaking of a fantastic season, I can see Simon Chambers down there in the green room. I might bring him up for a chat, Tim. What do you reckon?
Oh, look, sounds really good. Let's get him up. He'll be happy as.
Very good. Simon Chambers, welcome to the Top Split TV commentary booth tonight, mate. P5, well, what a result, mate. How did that play out for you? Oh, are you with us, Simon? We can't hear you.
Hang on. I'm here.
Very good. Very good, mate. Fantastic result. Top 5 finish for the Top Split podcast racing team. I'm very pleased to see that, mate. But how did it play out for you tonight? Oh, Simon, are you with us? You'll need to speak up if you are, mate. Simon, we can't hear. Oh, that's.
I'm here. Sorry. I've just got to kill the sim. Hold on.
Yeah, you're right, mate. Well, just saying, if you can hear us, mate, really pleasing result for yourself. I think that's your first top 5 in the Australasian Superskips. We were down on numbers a bit tonight, I have to say, probably due to week 13 and the track itself, but certainly not down on quality. The strength of field tonight was 2,400, which is equal of any that we've had this season. So you must be very pleased with that, along with your own result.
Yes, definitely get there in the end. Yeah, I was carrying the crate for the team. Get up to 5th spot. I pipped a couple of guys on the line, if you caught that at the end.
Yeah, we did, mate. I just managed to cross you in time. I thought you were out of the running, actually, before the last straight, but obviously you were just in the tow there and managed to bring it home, mate. Very impressive. How was that moment crossing the line?
Oh, it was really good. It was a surprise a bit. One of them ran out of fuel, and the other one, I don't know, just lost a bit of momentum. And I nearly did as well. I even slid a bit and to try and get around them. And I had the inside, which is good in the speed. So I thought I was consigned to maybe in between those two guys, but I got in front, which is good.
Yeah, fantastic result, mate. And speaking of fantastic results, what a season. I'd suggest even though Luke Whitten had a bit of a moment tonight and ended up having to tow and pit for damage, he'll take out this second season of the Australasian Superskips. Your thoughts and reflections on how we've gone this season overall, mate?
Oh, really good. Exceeded expectations. Can understand the low turnout, as you said, like week 13, and it's a pay track. So, but still, we had over 20, which I'm happy if we've got more than an official race. And yeah, Luke had an easy drop round coming into this one, and I was a bit surprised when I saw he was 30 seconds behind me after I stopped. So I thought, yep, something's gone wrong. So.
Yeah, look, he had a bit of a moment and was forced to tow and pit for damage, but he fought back well, actually, I thought, finishing in P8 and taking out the season irrespective of tonight's result, I'd suggest. So, no, it was a good season for him as well. So, just wanted to offer my congratulations to you, mate, on your result tonight, but also on the season and the work you do behind the scenes. I know it's greatly appreciated by all who participate. So, congratulations on that, mate. And before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Oh, you, Alex, one. Yeah, Bernie as well. So the both of you couldn't have had the popularity we had without you guys taking time out to broadcast for us. All the guys who turned up as well. Well done, and thanks to the guys who turned up week in, week out as well.
Yeah, that's fantastic, mate. Thank you so much for organising it all and your commitment to it. It's greatly appreciated by all of us, I'm sure. So thanks, mate, and congratulations again on the P5 and the season overall.
No worries, thanks.
All right, that was Simon Chambers, folks. He's organised this fantastic series for us. We've got a few lined up in the green room now, Tim. I think I might bring up our race winner tonight, Tim Hendrickson. After a fantastic performance. What do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I think Tim's would be great to hear from him. It was a great race and a great pit strategy. So, yeah, let's get him up.
No worries. Tim Hendrickson, Alex McKellar here in the Top Split TV commentary booth, mate. Welcome along. Well, a victory. That's your first victory in the Super Skips, I think, mate. How did it play out for you tonight?
Oh man, that was a fun race. Yeah, I got really lucky with Luke blowing his engine, and yeah, my pit stop really sealed the deal.
Yeah, mate, that pit stop was great. I was a bit curious to see when you pulled off on your own there, mate, whether the other guys would go with you. I wasn't sure if you were balking it or not, but you went in and the other guys sort of, you wouldn't have seen it, of course, but they are a bit of Keystone cops in the pits for those two, and it cost them dearly as it turned out, mate. And then you had clean air, I should say, and made a great fist of it.
Yeah, I did wonder what happened to Tim because he just fell back in my relative. I still don't really know what happened. Do you guys know what he did?
Tim Gorkrotcher, yeah, from memory, he what happened in the pits was he overshot and had to reverse. That was right, wasn't it, Mr. Awema?
Oh
Yeah, it
no.
was. He actually he went. It looked like he was in his pit box. Then he reversed up, then drove back into it. So losing him all the time tonight.
Yeah, so
Oh,
he had a great entry, but then cost it all in the pits, mate. And then you're in clean air. And did you have much trouble with lap traffic tonight? Didn't look like it.
no, I think the track is long enough to not have any trouble with lap traffic. The first lap car was like 20 seconds in front of me, so no, it was no problem.
Yeah, beautiful. That's what I thought, mate. Well, congratulations on your maiden victory here at the Australasian Superskips, and hopefully we'll see you back next season, and you can have some similar results.
I'll definitely be back.
Excellent, mate. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Guys, you guys always put up a great show. Come on.
That's great, mate. Well, it's been great racing with you through the week, mate, and hopefully we look forward to a bigger and better next season as well, mate.
Goodbye, mate.
Very good. There we go. This was our race winner, folks, Mr. Tim Hendrickson. We've got a couple of other guys in there. I think I might grab a hold of, well, we've got our other podium sitter there and Sam Katagazinos. We might bring up Sam and see what he's got to say for himself. What do you reckon?
Yep, let's bring him up.
Mr. Katagazinos, welcome to the Top Split TV commentary booth tonight, mate. Perhaps a surprising podium for yourself tonight, mate. Give us your thoughts on the racing out there tonight.
Hi, Alex. Hi, Tim. Yes, it is a surprise. Got third on the podium. I can't believe that the guys up in front were either killing themselves or picking themselves off. But yeah, slowly, one by one, they were going back into the pits. You could hear the spotter say in the, leader in the pits or something. And very lucky to survive the lap 3, turn 1. The guy in front of me, well, to me anyway, he braked a lot early than I thought, and seeing that I was going to hit him, so I ducked to the outside to avoid him. That was Matthew Hobbs, and on the outside was Alex John, and I thought, oh, looks like I'm going to hit him too, so I just fully locked up the brakes to avoid him, and I spun, and it wasn't a great. It wasn't great after that going out.
Your spy car's a mini. It's not the size, mate.
Going from
It's how you use it.
position and no draft. So very lucky to just not make a mistake myself. Known to do that, especially as it gets on late at the night. Decided to take on the full 3.9 litre fuel, and I'm really glad I did because I had Alex to try and catch and chase, and got in front of him, and I thought, here we go, last lap he's going to take me around and take the podium, but he fell away, and as soon as I asked him what was up, my motor started running out of fuel, and he told me he ran out of fuel. So he ran out of fuel before the finish line, I ran out of fuel after the finish line, and I'll take a podium. no complaint.
Absolutely, mate. Well, Team Milo then, unfortunately, not making a great fist of podium, their pit stops again tonight. But yeah, well, that's great, mate. I'm really pleased for you. It's a really fantastic result, and I thought you might have a good run here tonight, given your experience in ovals. Although that's sort of half the work around here, and of course you're quick on the curvy bits as well. So, congratulations again tonight, mate. Podium finish to round out the season. Anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Yeah, the organizer, Simon Chambers. Excellent. It's an excellent series. Simon's on top of the game. He's also got some amazing, I'll say, staff that work around him to help the organisation of the series keep running. It's just a great part. It's a great organisation and a great event to be a part of. And every time I can get a chance to have a run, I'll do it. I don't get to be able to run it every fortnight, but when I can, yeah, like tonight, I will. I'll snap it up. So Simon, that's who I give a shout out to.
Great, thank you, Sam. That's fantastic, mate. Yeah, it's a great series to be a part of. Great community. So, and Simon adds a lot to that, and we're very appreciative of it. So, thanks again for joining us again tonight, mate, and congratulations on your result.
Thank you all.
All right, and I apologise to the viewers at home. I thought I'd turned off my Twitch notifications, but I had one play in the background, so apologies for that. I'll just bring up our final interview for tonight, Mr. Alex John, Team Milo driver extraordinaire, who grabbed his 4th place, but looks like he could have gotten better if he'd got his pit stop right. What do you reckon, Tim? We'll have a chat to him?
Yeah, it sounds good. Bring him up.
Mr. John, Alex J. John, welcome to the Top Split commentary booth, mate. P4 tonight. Sam was just saying you might have had a bit of trouble with fuel, mate, but overall, how'd you find the racing out there tonight?
Yeah, it was pretty good. For the first race back, I was hoping to be having something a little bit more laid back, but ended up P2 on the grid, so I didn't have much choice but to go for it, and ended up P4, so it was all good in the end.
Yeah, it looked like you and Russell worked pretty well together there in the qualifying. The draft here play a big part in that, do you think?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I ended up with a double draft, so that helped me a big deal, and Russell sort of got the short end of the stick and didn't really get a good lap in, unfortunately.
And that pit stop, mate, what happened there? You just short fuel it a bit. Sam said you might have run out just before the line.
Yeah, I think I was probably 100 mils too short, and I'd sort of was fuel saving while Sam was behind me, and then I made a mistake, and I thought, well, I'll just go for it anyway. And just as I was going to pass him, it just started to cough, and I thought, oh yeah, that'll typical. It was it was quite comedic.
That's a shame, mate. So because I think you're only about a 10th behind him at the line, and the short fueling cost you there, mate. What a shame that was. So, but tell us, I know you've got a new rig set up at the new place, mate. How did that feel tonight?
Oh yeah, it was really good. Had a bit of open heart surgery on the wheel in qualifying because the one of the shifters dropped out. But other than that, it was all good. It's very nice, and I'm enjoying the new rig.
That's fantastic, mate. Open heart surgery on the wheel during qualifying. Now that doesn't unsettle you. I don't know what does, mate. Did all good in the race though, I assume?
Yeah, thankfully, yeah. No, it all held together in the race. So that was all good, and I think that would possibly be our Team Milo P1 for the team's championship.
Well, go Team Milo, as they say. Well, hopefully we'll find out that out pretty soon once the results are tallied. But that'd be a great result for Team Milo, mate. But congratulations on your result tonight. Congratulations on a great season. I know I've enjoyed running with you when I've had the chance, and you guys put on a great show tonight. So before we let you go, though, anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I'll have to give a shout out to Russell, and thanks for all that qualifying help, and also to you guys, the broadcasters, that putting in the time, and Simon for putting together a good championship. And I'm looking forward to the next championship, which I think is only 2 weeks away.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. Yeah, I'm sure we all are. It'll be a good time, as it always is, and I'm hoping to drive a few more myself next season, so we'll see how that goes as well. But look, congratulations again, mate, and all the best with your upcoming season.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
Well, there you go, Mr. Weemer. We've made it through. We survived the action on track tonight, and afterwards, first streamed and recorded race live. So pretty happy with that, mate. How did you find the experience?
Yeah, look, I found it really good. I appreciate the opportunity to come up and have a bit of a go in the commentary box. As I said, a little bit different to the driving, but it was good. You know, if there's another open position, I'll be more than happy to come back again.
Excellent, glad to hear it, mate. Well, that almost. Well, actually, I was going to say, mate, you're off. I was going to ask you what's on in the world of Tim Williams, but I know you're off to see the Formula One in Singapore in the next little bit, mate. You looking forward to that?
Oh, definitely. It's a good trip away, and it's an exciting time to go to the Grand Prix, especially in Singapore with the street circuit. So, yeah, really looking forward to it.
Excellent. Well, hopefully we'll hear back from that and hear what it's like firsthand. For the likes of me that don't get to do that, I'll be living vicariously, so to speak. But for now, folks, thank you for joining us. We've got a few people in the session with us, which is great. I really enjoyed broadcasting this race once again. Fantastic series, fantastic season. Well done to Simon and the organisers of this great series. Looking forward to coming back bigger and better next season. But until then, congratulations to the guys out on track tonight. Luke on his championship and those who finish behind him. But it's been a fantastic season and we look forward to the next one. So until next time, folks, we will, on behalf of Tim Awema and Top Split TV, I will say ciao for now.